episode of Lights Camera Live, where we shine a spotlight on the best and brightest marketers in the industry. So listen, if you're tired of being the best kept secret in town, this episode is for you, because we're going to be talking about public relations, earned media, and why it's so important for you to consider in your overarching marketing strategy. So whatever you're doing right now, go ahead and grab your notebook, because we're about to get started. Come on in and hang out. All right, you guys. It's Thursday. It's a new episode of Lights Camera Live. And let me tell you, I've got this amazing woman here, this PR powerhouse who I've seen graced multiple stages because she knows her stuff. If you're tired of being the best kept secret in the town, she's the one to listen to. Everyone, give it up for Miss Sarah Evans. Yeah.
Hi.
How are you? How are you doing?
Good. I mean, that's a loaded question, Stephanie. Things are, every day isn't a new story. I feel like the past 3 days, this week, it's really, everything's kind of hit us this reality that everyone's home, working full time and trying to find this semblance of balance that doesn't exist and creating new schedules that just work for both business and family. And it's crazy.
It is. And we're all trying to juggle. And I would probably say that I've been rationing my makeup for like the last month. So like, this is the first time I've actually like put on a full face and like probably washed my hair. Welcome to the new era.
I know I'm in post-workout hair. I've got some chapstick on. I think that's where we're at right now.
Got it. All right. So listen, everyone. I know that on the show, we always talk a lot about digital marketing. We talk a lot about live streaming in general. But I've never really had anyone on the show who was as knowledgeable as Sarah to talk about the power of PR. Because let's face it, more people are at home these days and the news cycle is consistent. There are so many stories that are happening right now. And in the green room in talking to Sarah, how many pitches were you working on?
I don't know if I should share it publicly, but let's go with more than 10.
Yeah. So you're pretty busy right now. And I will even say that for our clients, they have a PR team that is just crunching it. And like every day I'm getting something new that as part of social and as part of digital, I have to repurpose it and push it out there. So yeah, I know how busy you are. And I am so thankful that you are here. All right. So having said that, let's give people a basic understanding of how powerful PR is. In fact, let's talk about like what kind of exposure PR firms can help brands and personal brands.
Well, PR can function in a multitude of ways. And usually what I say is the PR side of things are really the earned and organic things. So all of the things that you don't pay for, it's what gets people coming back to your brand. You think of marketing as what gets people in the door. PR is what keeps you coming back. You're building the relationship. And of course, getting touch points through media, influencers, and other third-party experts. If you're working with a PR firm versus maybe a publicist, you're going to get different results. There are publicists who focus specifically on TV tours. For some people, that's an important tactic that they want to accomplish to become more noticeable on TV, versus what my team does. And I usually bill us as an unagency because we don't focus on some of the things traditional firms focus on. We encompass digital PR. So not only are we pitching traditional media, but then we're coming up with amplification tactics, ways you can repurpose things. When we're pitching media, we might create a Twitter list and then pull those Twitter handles and create custom ads to target them. So we can touch in multiple places. We are monitoring online conversations to see where we can be inserted, whether that's Reddit, YouTube influencers, Instagram. We're looking for a really comprehensive way to share stories versus just traditional media, but traditional media still occupies 85% of our time.
Wow. Yeah. See, and this is why I wanted to have you on the show, because when I was talking to Sarah, you guys, before we even went live, I told her that I used to work at a digital agency and we had like a PR discipline as well. And I remember like on the busiest days when they were launching something, they would all be in the war room, multiple TVs, just listening to the news and just sending pitches, sending. And so this is why I'm like, oh, I needed to have Sarah here. So if you guys are just tuning in, if you want to know how to get your business out there in front of a larger audience so that way you can increase your impact, your influence, as well as like your messaging, then this is the episode for you. And so Sarah, what I liked I liked how you laid out the difference between what a publicist does and what a PR firm does. Can you go into that a little bit further? Because I don't think people actually caught that.
Sure. So I've got my little 3-year-old right here too. I
Yeah.
can at some point people want to make an appearance. A publicist is really someone, a champion in your corner. They're pitching you as a person the majority of the time versus just a brand. A PR firm or agency is usually focused on a corporate image or a corporate message and working with multiple subject matter experts in your organization. So think of publicist as more personal, one-to-one versus agency, which is group. Hi.
Daddy's mad because he's making me sad.
Oh, he was trying to tell her she couldn't come in here to be on the show. I'm at the dining room table in my battle station.
Yeah, that's okay. I actually, my daughter came in and she's 5 and she dropped off a little blueberry muffin.
We all have it.
So we all have
I
it.
miss
Yeah.
my office, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where you just can't ignore it because the longer you ignore it, it's like, oh, so you just,
That's not a good idea.
yeah, you just gotta like throw it in there. And you know what? We're live streamers, we're used to this. And so
It's real
we got
life.
it. It's real life. Yeah, we're all adjusting to it. So for those of you that are just tuning in, if you have questions about PR, like now is the great time to ask because this is the Sarah Evans. Like, and I've seen you on stage. I saw you on Agora Pulse's, interview, and I was like, oh, this is so good. This is so good. All right, so let's talk about then what are the top 3 reasons why brands should hire a PR firm? And you kind of touched upon it about like how it's integrated, and I don't think most people realize that on all the extra effort that you're doing. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on, what are your top 3 reasons? Like, what do you tell clients?
I think it's such a great question because it's not just the media. People want media, but there's the strategic side that happens behind the scenes. Number one, they're your strategic partner. So they have their pulse on what's happening in the media industry right now, what kind of stories are resonating so that you don't damage your brand trying to send out information to just a list of reporters that you've gathered. They can also strategically message and ensure your messaging is on par with what you're trying to accomplish through your press release, personal pitches, hand curated media list. We put a lot of time and effort into our personalization, making sure we're reaching out to the right people with the right content. Are you fixing my hair? Thanks so much.
She's like, Mommy, I want you to look good on camera. That's a good daughter.
The third piece would just be an extension of your team. Many times, especially for SMBs and other folks, you don't have the budget for a full-time corporate, VP of PR. You can actually retain decent boutique or publicists for a fraction of the cost that you would spend on a full-time executive.
Yeah. And see, this is what I appreciate so much about you is because you've been doing this for a long time and different budgets that come in and different services that a publicist, a PR firm, everything, the whole gamut on how to work with clients and make it work. Because there's probably some times in your business where you might not have a launch, and so maybe you might want to have a smaller retainer, like your peaks and valleys, right? Yeah. But when it's time to like open your new restaurant, your gala, or whatever it is, then that's when you want to bring on your PR team, right?
And I would also caution anyone for a truly great campaign, you always want to start 30 days in advance. A lot of times people will come to us and while we can deliver, it's not always easy. You don't want to jeopardize media relationships, but they'll come to us 48 hours before something launches thinking like you just seed it out. But the press release and the pitch is the first step, right? So the news cycle right now, it might take 24 to 72 hours for someone to even open your email or to respond to your direct message or to see your text message, simply because the news cycle is moving so quickly. You want to allow enough time to start seeding pitches and content because articles take time to write. If someone wants to work with someone like you, right, they have to reach out, schedule, get in queues. So you need to be strategic with how you manage your time.
Yeah. And PR teams, I feel like they're always persistent and they're consistent. Like they know that the news desk is probably getting so many different pitches that just the follow-up is also very key. How do you even keep track of that?
Of the news cycle?
Of just like, I pitched this person, I need to follow up.
We've got a pretty extensive system. I'm sure there's someone out there that does it better, but we use several different tools. One is Muckrack that we use to identify and pull media, maybe if it's outside of a vertical we're familiar with. Then I use Google Sheets to upload and use team updates to see who's pitching where. We use Slack to coordinate that. And then if we're doing any like media blasts, we use labeling. Labeling is huge, and set up different instructions in our emails to make sure we're not repitching the same people on various pitches. So it's a bit extensive.
When you say labeling, is that just in your subject line, the way that you label your pitches, or are you saying this
It's
is like a separate
the
software?
back end. Yeah, it's a separate software. The back end.
Oh, that's so interesting. Very cool. See, I love
Because of
having
the
been on
trade.
the social side. Yeah, like you hear all about like the social media scheduling and the content calendars and the editorial calendars. I'm just so fascinated by PR as far as like your digital Rolodex, how you keep track of everything and you measure it. It's just so astounding to me. So, Sarah, we already have questions coming in because they know that they absolutely love you.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate
One,
you.
one question is, when's the best time to bring PR into your marketing efforts? Launch, growth, or crisis? And the crisis one is the one where I was like, oh, I know you've got a good answer.
Oh, yeah. So it absolutely depends on what your objectives are. If you're going to be launching something, I've worked with several fully funded startups as part of their launch program. I usually come in anywhere between 3 to 6 months prior to the launch to get everything strategically set up. For example, a few clients that we worked with when they were going to make their private beta public and come out to the world, we did a product hunt launch, which included a whole host of content. We seeded content with YouTube influencers. We did some paid social ad campaigns, press releases, media list development, and that just takes a lot of time to get set up, hence the time. Growth is another opportunity. So when you're working with a great PR person, you likely have an editorial calendar or you're feeding them regular stories. They will tell you, we need numbers, numbers, numbers. So if you have a great numbers story, we can tell that. And crisis, I mean, absolutely. If you need a strategic mindset thought leader to support you, that is a time, especially if you're getting inundated with media and need support to just manage the process, it can't hurt to bring someone on. And there are PR people who focus specifically in crisis.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, okay. Because, like, then in digital and social media, you have people that are like the TikTok expert,
Yep.
the YouTube
Absolutely.
expert. And so in PR, you have someone that could specialize focusing on crisis management.
Yes.
And in all the other areas. That's so cool. Yeah. How fascinating. How did you actually get your start in PR?
Well, I went. I am seasoned. That's the word I'll use. So
Yeah.
I was a PR major in college, so this has always been my career. I have been in it since day one out of college, and in some way, shape, or form, I was always a PR person. I used to joke that I was planning tea parties when I was 2 or 3 years old, bringing people together, because that's what PR does. You're uniting people around a cause, an idea, a message, a product. So it's always been inherent in my nature.
I love it. So if you guys are just tuning in, we've already talked about like the difference between hiring a publicist, the difference between hiring a PR agency. We've also talked about like different verticals, different disciplines to be mindful of. We've also talked about like when is the best time to start pitching. And so you said for you, it's helpful to have 30 days in advance. And I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
It is great. And it just depends on who or what you're trying to pitch, because a pitch you're writing for a TV producer versus contacting an assignment desk editor or a booker is totally different. And when you build great relationships, like many in our industry have, you're getting proactive requests from those bookers for TV and different places who said, I was looking, I had 4 emails just pop up, and there people are like, hey, we need someone for tomorrow on national, news stations. So it's great that they need to fill those slots. And when you can deliver, and you're not just delivering your own clients, we're always delivering the best possible source for the segment that they're working on. You build relationships. So those are really fast-paced pitches versus longer lead publications or places that have public editorial calendars, so you can see what their content cycle looks like.
Yeah, and I'm imagining that like the text message, the emails that you're getting doesn't stop at 5 o'clock. Like,
my husband said, I saw you at 4 a.m. on your phone. I was like, I'm sorry, someone sent some sound bites in that needed to be in by 7 a.m. Eastern, so I had to get them out.
Oh, it just fascinates me. But it's also very fun. I just remember like PR would always know they'd have this scoop and it'd always just be like, wow. It was just always wow. All right, so let's talk about like if someone is interested in hiring a PR firm, what should they look for specifically?
one of the things, so let me just go through if I was hiring someone for myself. Number one, I want to see what kind of story placements have they secured in the last 30 days? What verticals are they most competent or comfortable working in to make sure it's a great fit? Or do they have other people on their team that can support your area of expertise? Asking, some people work it in various ways, but I know just being a PR person, how much hard work goes into crafting curated lists and sending out pitches. So I would ask about their process. How do they work? If they simply take your message, write a press release, and then mass blast it out to a list of 1,000 journalists, that's really not productive for me. I want to know that we're building relationships with folks. Without them giving away too much of the secret sauce or, what makes them unique in pitching stories, asking them what kind of stories do you think would resonate about me right now? And then just seeing if it's a fit. It's a very personal relationship in public relations because you're dealing with
it's your reputation on the line, right?
And it's very important.
Yeah. Okay. And so we have this question from Jose Sosa, and we have a lot of marketers and content creators, that are trying to build their own personal brand. If you're trying to build a personal brand, would you hire a publicist then? Is that what you would focus on, or would you hire a PR firm?
I would go with a publicist. And in fact, I get requests. This is like one of the key differentiators. We're in a very unique spot that we get so many reactive requests for our company. And I mean, I couldn't be more thankful for that. But one of the first things I do is say, I can figure out what they're looking for. And I have a short list of folks that I immediately refer out to. Simply because being a publicist is much more time consuming. And I use the word personal, but it's even more personal because you spend a lot of one-on-one time with an individual.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that it's a right fit. And if I can't deliver, the worst thing I can do for my reputation is to ruin it or not deliver. So I want to get them to the right person. So building that personal brand and breaking into a new market. So you can look at a publicist, but you can also do your due diligence to find everyone that writes about the thing that you want to break into. Start reading what they're writing, create Twitter lists, reach out to them on LinkedIn, create content that might resonate with them, go comment on their stories, share their content. So get noticed as you start to move into the area.
Oh, I love that. This is so good. A part of me is like, I want to take notes, but then you'll hear the clickety clack in the background.
You can just rewatch it.
I know. I'll rewatch it, blog recap, and then we'll go from there. So one of the questions from Jose was, what do you do to help build a brand? What did you get? She's back.
She's very upset.
Hi. Oh, that's okay, honey. You can come on to the show. You're good. You're good. What can a brand do that's new to the market? Show off their social proof. Is social proof, like what kind of social proof would be newsworthy from a PR perspective?
So there's newsworthy social proof, and then there's just vetted kind of verification proof. And by that, it shouldn't always matter, being verified on a particular account may immediately enhance your credibility. The people you're interacting with or who you follow or who follow you can be part of that. The amount of content that you're putting out and the way in which you put it out. Does it have a great reach? One of the things that's great when you're working with news media and you get a placement, while it's not, the coverage isn't dependent upon this, nor should it be linked to it. If you can amplify and create great traction for them, that's a great result, and really enhances your own social proof and may, in fact, let's say you're going for being kind of one of the talking heads on TV news programs and you have great amplification, you're wonderful on camera, they'll keep having you back.
Yeah. That reminds me of a really good friend, like Winnie's son, right? Like
I love Winnie.
Yeah. Like she's so amazing. And you see
my
her.
call before this.
Was she really? Aw, I was just tweeting at her. So yeah, like I just see her, like she shows up everywhere. She's on like the different media but she's also established like her own media distribution, right? Like she's got her show and she's got other shows that she's working on, but she's constantly having those relationships. She's on other people's podcasts, other people's interviews. So she's showing that social proof. Oh, she's adorable.
Yeah. It's a great example. She would be a great case study of someone who's created their niche, continues to grow and has wonderful social proof.
And so here's another one from Jose. So he's saying how to be featured or how to stand out in an online publication? Again, this is from a personal branding perspective. And you had mentioned, like, would it be helpful for if someone had a personal brand to have like their own newsroom of where they've been featured as
I
opposed to
think that's
just
great if you can package together all your multimedia and use it as a trend piece. The other most important thing that you can start right away, and if you message me after this, I'll send you a link. We have an entire just a Google Doc of all of the different places you can apply to be a guest contributor. And that's one of the places, if you're pitching and you're not being featured yet, create your own presence. People need content, and if you're a great writer, a great content producer, it is essential. I use, just for my writing, this is like the number one tool every writer should use. Yes. I'm leaving. This is a cliffhanger. The number one tool is Ink. It's an AI-powered desktop writing platform, and it allows you to write better for the web. So if you're going to start guest posting, but you don't feel strong enough in your writing, I run everything and write everything in that before it goes out. So I'll give you that.
What was it called?
Ink, I-N-K. It's inkforall.com. So that tool, plus I'll send you a link to my guest post document, and those are two great resources to get started.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you, Jose, for asking this question, because that was just gold right there.
I'll send you this leaf, Jose.
Yeah. Okay. And so you said a lot about
This one?
writing and guest posting and all that stuff, but what about the video content creators? Like, what about the live streamers? Would that be helpful too in like packaging that up?
It is if you are good on camera and good online. I'm breaking almost every rule I would tell a client right now. Just FYI, so everything I'm doing, don't do. Horrible lighting, bad backdrop, kids are in the picture, not all put together. But I'd say if it's something you're good at, you do it. We need multimedia content. One of the things you can do, and this is a tactic I've recommended in the past for clients, if there's breaking news or a topical story or something is ongoing, record some video responses to what's going on and go and post it in the comments as a reply to the reporter or the journalist who's sharing, and offer some additional feedback. So even if you're not getting sourced in the story, you can become part of the story and still interject your thought, your opinion, or your view.
That is so good. Like, you can't see, but I just got like goosebumps. I was like,
I should be doing this.
I was like, I should be doing this.
Actually, this is you. This is what you should.
There's a good friend of mine, Chris Strub, who is absolutely amazing on Twitter. Yeah, and he does the video replies. And so now I'm thinking in my head, okay, target, follow what people are writing about, follow what their beat is. And if you could give them a soundbite, whether it's audio or video, then you can become a part of the story.
Yes. And not video replies in general, just like every time someone tweets, sending a video reply, these should be thoughtful moments.
Yeah, good. Because Demetrius just asked, will video responses work on Twitter only? Oh, that's interesting. Does that only work on Twitter, or could you do that like on LinkedIn, or is that just, no, you should do that, like type that out?
I would recommend on Twitter simply because journalists, it's still a place for journalists. It's a viable place. If you do any Google searches, tweets get indexed and show up in search results. And then you can always post an article or a post on LinkedIn, include your video, and then tag the reporter with a link to the story if you want to interject that way.
Okay. So this is, I know I sent you a couple of questions, but like in just talking to you, like all these other ones come up. What about newsjacking? Like, do you do that a lot for your clients?
Back in the day, I feel like before newsjacking was a thing, we unintentionally did that. We're like, well, we could get it inserted into this. But we might look for opportunities to leverage things that are happening. If there's a top trending hashtag, for example, it was last week, Auntie Anne's was trending online because people missed going to the mall and eating their pretzels. Well, we have a client that just reopened a mall marketplace. They're a restaurant tech company, and it's for free. So all of these organizations like Auntie Anne's, if they knew about this tech and could get it in their hands, they could reopen. So we pitched the media talking about the trend of Auntie Anne that trended naturally. And we have a client that can help reopen these places. And now we need to marry that together and get the word out. So is that newsjacking? I don't know. I think it's leveraging a moment in time where it really fits and is appropriate.
Okay, good. You guys, This is absolutely amazing. Like, I am so thankful. I'm like, thank you, Mike Alton, for making this introduction because this
I'm
is
good.
all PR gold. I absolutely love it. Again, so if you guys have questions about just increasing your impact, your influence online by using PR, like we've talked a lot about social. We've talked a lot about live video and paid media. This is something that I haven't explored with you guys a lot. And so just having like Sarah here is absolutely amazing. We've talked about, the differences between publicists, PR firms. We've talked about like why it's important for you to create Twitter list, how you could get really creative with your video responses. Here's a question for you. Because I remember when we launched a hotel. I was like, do I say the name or not? When we launched a hotel and we sent out like these really nice media kits, right? Which had like the beach balls and all this other stuff just to make it really creative. Do you think that would even work for personal brands? Like, hey, I'm launching something, try it out. Is that still a thing?
Yes and no. No, right now because of COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has changed and been thrown on its head. But I will tell you, one of my favorite things, I get a lot of advanced copies of books, and I do love the personalized package when it shows that someone cares and understands you. So it is event dependent and journalism or journalistic source or influence source dependent. Journalists themselves can't accept anything, right? So you have to be mindful of who you're sending it to versus an influencer or someone outside of traditional journalism.
Got it. I love it. All right, so here's another question from our favorite Jose, who he's probably going to be like your number one fan now. So if you start to get like video responses, he's your guy. So he's asking, if you're not great at writing, would you recommend white label ghostwriting?
Sure. Those people exist for a reason, and great writers. There was a college professor who told me, if you're a great writer, you'll always have a job. And it's true, because not everyone is. One of the most important things, though, is if you're working with a ghostwriter, is to always go through it to make sure that you haven't lost your tone, your voice, and your humanity. Those are the three things that are really important. And I brought up ink before because that's one of the reasons I started using them to write with, because if you find posts that are all SEO'd out, it can start to sound very robotic, very foreign. And I was looking for a way to still be able to keep brand tone, brand voice, and still sound like a human being. So I would say ghostwriting, but not every ghostwriter understands SEO. So you want to have a great balance of that. So ink plus ghostwriter, good combo.
Love that. It's so helpful. I actually had a friend she was doing like online wellness, like health and wellness for students, and they usually teach programs in person. But now that all of the students are at home, how do you bring that online? And so one of the editors had reached out like, hey, can you send me a press release? And she's like, I don't know how to write a press release. Like, where do you even start for that?
I would really have to reflect. This has been years and years and years.
It's just in your DNA now. You're like, I know this like the back of my head.
Some of it is essentially you want to answer the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Keep it as short as possible so media can digest it. Build it into a pitch. One of the great things when I work with companies who do have internal PR, I do edit to the press release that they'll send, and they'll say things like, oh, we're so thankful, this really helps. And I always say it is so much easier to edit than start from scratch. They did the hard work, the heavy lifting. I get to come in and tweak a few things. So making sure that the headline offers urgency or an actual story angle, and that there's a subheading that gives a little more meat to it, and then you answer the most important information in the first paragraph.
Got it. I love it. You guys, this is good. Jose is saying this is already like replay worthy. Yeah, I told you guys she was absolutely going to be amazing. And having said that, you know what? I want to give some love to the LinkedIn crew because we're also live there. And because the comments actually don't show up on screen, I'm just going to share the screen.
Sure.
And so this is from Stefan Peterson. He's a fellow speaker. He speaks at the Midwest Digital Marketing Conference. And his question is, my opinion is that there's a huge flood of social media posts from a lot of companies right now, but unfortunately it's without a clear strategy. What advice would you give to those who want to go online but are not so experienced?
That is such a great question, and I share a similar view as you. I was talking to a very large company yesterday who said, we've basically just been quiet right now. We don't know what to say. So we've given some informative messages, but beyond that, we haven't done much. A few weeks ago, and I wish I would have had this tweet pulled up, I'll have to look for it. I talked about creating an emotional umbrella to put near your computer screen right now to make sure you run all of your content through this, acknowledging and thinking about that people have lost jobs, lost loved ones, that they're ill, that their income may be impacted. So being mindful of those things, and you can still be tasteful in a way to celebrate success or talk about the positive things, but it is not business as usual any longer. So I would say develop some sort of emotional compass or checklist that you run your ideation through, and think about the long game versus the short game. Will you destroy a relationship because of what you're doing now? Maybe you'll get a quick win out of this, but if the long game is you're going to lose, you're going to hurt yourself, exponentially that way.
It
I know
sounds like
the answer, but
no, it's so good. I feel like, okay, Sarah, there's another lead magnet. It's like a moral compass, a bookmark that you should have by your screen, because most people, when they're launching, like let's say launching their courses right now, they're so focused on how do I get in front of the most people right now? And then just sprinkle in a little bit of like COVID, I care, but then it just comes across so icky.
We see it, and we're inundated with online content right now. So what makes you different? What can you do to help? And what takeaways, actionable items will people be able to use right now?
Yeah. All right. So we have another question from Demetrius, and his is, can good public relations survive during the COVID crisis? Doesn't PR usually rely on face-to-face personal touch?
Well, if what we're doing is any inclination, it's better than ever. I've literally, as I've been sitting here, had 3 text messages, 2 emails, some DMs from reporters, number one. But then our clients, tonight I have a happy hour with one of my clients. Before this, there was a happy hour East Coast with another client. So people are getting creative and finding ways to have those touch points. And the most innovative and the most successful PR folks will thrive during this time to find other ways to bring people together. So yes, in the past, it was face-to-face, getting people in front of one another. Our desk side briefings were one of my favorite things in years past. But it's different now. And if you can't innovate and change and come up with different ways, you may not survive, but those that do get it and are implementing right now with a caring perspective will do very well.
I'm so intrigued by how the PR people are having their own happy hours with clients. That makes
we have a personal relationship with all of ours.
Yeah, I mean, having worked with our clients too, like I know the PR team, and we know like the names of the kids, like it's a whole family because we all work together, and perfect timing because you've got your little one. Has she expressed any interest in like pitching invitations to her tea parties?
Possibly. I actually have to do an interview with them for an event next week for SAP. So we'll see how they do.
Oh, that's so cute. Cool. So here's the last question for you, because I know you've got a busy day. One question is, if you are going to be hiring a PR agency, how do you set your PR agency for success?
I love that. One of the things that I find for the most successful is, maybe I could start with what doesn't work are those, like, I'm going to hire you for 30 days, and if I don't see results, like, we're done. And that's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy, because it takes 30 days to get up and running, to develop the pitches. I mean, at least 14 days to get up and running, and start getting pitches out. And so 60 days is a solid work time frame, I would say. Making sure that you're meeting to discuss all sorts of story starters based on what's happening in the industry. One of the things we do for every client is a simple chart, and it has an umbrella category, and then underneath that are 5 to 7 story starters, and underneath that I will 5 to 8 subject lines that I send to a reporter. And then I build the press releases, the stories throughout that, so we really delve into what I think would resonate. We use lots of tools to see what content is actually tracking right now. There's a great new tool on tableau.com, powered by Turbine Labs. It's a COVID-19 data hub. You can actually track to see what stories are trending and dropping off trend, where there's deficiency in coverage right now. So there's a host of journalism tools that PRs can also get access to. So when you to a firm or an agency, look to see if they're being strategic. What tools are they aware of? Are they industry leaders? And come up with KPIs, right? So we want 1 tier 1, we want 3 tier 2 mentions in the next 60 days. We're looking at, these 60 outlets would really be great for us. And thinking of comprehensive coverage. So not just print, not just TV, but looking at, medium writers, podcast hosts, live stream hosts, all these places where you can get sources that are very valuable. Twitter chats. I love getting on Twitter chats. You can gain new followers and insight. So I think some of it too is just talking to someone and then realizing if they're a fit.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, Anna, thank you, Anna. Anna says, follow her on Twitter and on the socials. I couldn't agree more. So if you've loved everything like I just did today, this is where you find her, okay? Because she's always putting like the best stuff that's out there. So subscribe, follow, and we'll get back to you guys in the comments with the ink website, all the other like tidbits. I'm gonna have to like comb through this.
Oh, well, on my Twitter feed, I just Twitter. So there's all sorts of good tip tools.
All right. Love it. Well, Sarah, is there anything else that you want to give out for advice for those that want to tap into PR for the first time? Is there like a book that they should read?
Oh, I don't know. I feel like everything's out the window right now with COVID. I'd say find some PR folks on Twitter or LinkedIn, ask questions, join small groups where there are maybe PR people involved. Create a co-op. If you can't afford PR on your own right now, group together with, a few businesses either in your industry or the same vertical, so you can afford someone to help share some stories, maybe a group story about what you are all doing. And doing things like following journalists online to take a litmus test to see what people are talking about, what stories are resonating right now, so you're not off pitching and thus damaging yourself, your brand, and your ability to reach media.
Yeah. I love how strategic you are. I love your thinking. I love how you have like the umbrella, the story starters, and the emails already like packaged up and ready to go. That's why I'm like, you've got this nailed down. You're just like, you're a machine.
Years, yeah.
Years of experience. And thank you so much for your time. Again, I know I'm looking at the comments coming up across the screen, and usually they're like a flurry. They're just like boom, boom, boom. But I know that people are writing this down. I could always tell like with the viewers, like it'll start and then it's like, wait a second. Why aren't they saying anything? And they're like, I have to write this down. They're all off making Twitter lists, and you're going to see a spike in your followers today. All right, Sarah, thank you so much for your time. You're the absolute best. And to everyone else that tuned in, thank you so much. And we'll catch you later. Bye, guys.
Bye.